Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever actually stopped to wonder how the country of China got its English name? Well, the answer doesn't come from a famous battle or a politician, but from a 2,000-year-old city tucked way deep in the lush mountains of Jiangxi Province. We're talking about a place where literal earth was transformed into art, and where local craftsmanship became an absolute global symbol. Welcome to our explainer on Jingdezhen, the undisputed porcelain capital of the entire world. To really wrap our heads around this place, we've got to look at a pretty fascinating linguistic connection. The English word for the country, China, with a capital C, and the word China with a lowercase c, meaning porcelain. Yeah, they are intrinsically linked. So back in the year 1004, Emperor Zhenzong was just so completely blown away by the delicate bluish-white porcelain coming out of this region, which was called Shangnan back then, that he actually bestowed his very own reign title, Jingde, right onto the city. Boom. From that moment on, it was Jingdezhen. And its porcelain became so insanely legendary around the globe that it literally ended up naming the whole nation in the English-speaking world. Crazy, right? But what's truly staggering here is the sheer unbelievable scale of this history. We're talking about 2,000 years of continuous porcelain production. I mean, just pause and think about that for a second. Ever since the Han Dynasty, the kiln fires in this city have never truly gone out. This isn't just some historical site that used to make pottery way back when. No, this is a living, breathing landscape where an unbroken industrial fire has survived dynastic changes, brutal wars, and modern shifts, literally burning bright for 2 millennia.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how much of an absolute historical anomaly Jingdezhen actually was. Picture this for a second. While the vast majority of the ancient world, and definitely ancient China, was a traditional agrarian society, living and dying by farming and the rhythm of the seasons, Jingdezhen was operating like a massive, highly specialized factory. Hundreds of years before the Industrial Revolution even kicked off in Europe, this city had an incredibly complex division of labor. Folks here weren't out tilling the fields. They were highly specialized artisans, completely focused on one massive industry.
To give you a real sense of the unbelievable scale of this ancient production, there's this incredible letter from a French missionary who visited back in 1712. He wrote back home to Europe and described Jingdezhen as a giant furnace with 18,000 households. He even noted that at night, it looked like a massive city totally engulfed in flames. Can you just picture that? Tens of thousands of specialized workers, all clustered together in this mountain valley, working around the clock to turn dirt into the most intensely sought-after luxury goods on the planet. Let's move on and see how this builds into the imperial era. As centuries went by, this massive, fiery production center inevitably caught the eye of royalty. Which brings us to Toyangli, the historic, beating heart of the city. Here, 108 winding ancient cobbled alleys lead directly to the legendary imperial kiln. For over 600 years, spanning the entire Ming and Qing dynasties, this specific, hyper-focused area was dedicated to one thing and one thing only: crafting porcelain exclusively for the royal families living in the Forbidden City. But here is where the story gets pretty ruthless. You see, the imperial era demanded flawless, absolute perfection. Masterpieces were reserved solely for the emperor. But what if a piece had just a tiny, barely visible blemish in the glaze, or maybe a slightly warped shape? No discounts, no seconds. It was strictly shattered and buried. Literally, millions of near-perfect pieces were destroyed right on site just to guarantee that no commoner could ever eat off a plate that was meant for royalty. It's a level of petty perfectionism that is honestly kind of wild to think about today. So the crucial point is that all of this brutal perfectionism left behind a literal mountain of history beneath the ground. Archaeologists have unearthed over 20 million broken shards weighing more than 100 tons at the imperial kiln site alone. And these massive underground graves of shattered attempts, they didn't just disappear into the dirt. Instead, they became the literal foundation for our modern understanding of ancient porcelain craftsmanship. It's like this massive, beautiful puzzle for researchers to painstakingly piece back together. And wonderfully, the city didn't just sweep all this complex, shattered history away, they built directly upon it. The brilliant architect Zhu Pei designed the stunning Imperial Kiln Museum using 8 vaulted structures that perfectly mimic the shape of traditional kilns. And the absolute best part? The past and present are literally mortared together here, seamlessly blending brand new bricks with recycled ancient kiln bricks. If you ever get the chance to visit, you absolutely have to see it during the blue hour when the warm glow of the bricks creates this truly magical, otherworldly atmosphere. All right, let's shift our journey out of the bustling city center for a bit. Deep in a lush, misty bamboo forest, about an hour's drive away, lies a quiet, almost reverent architectural space, the Bing Ding Kiln. It's this stark, absolutely fascinating concrete structure that feels almost like a brutalist temple. And it is dedicated entirely to the ancient, highly difficult, and incredibly demanding art of wood firing.
Now you might be wondering, why go through all this immense trouble today? Well, while modern gas kilns are super easily controlled and give you highly consistent results, traditional wood-fired kilns, fueled by local mountain pine, are notoriously unpredictable. It is this fierce, difficult magic. As the wood burns, the ash naturally falls onto the ceramics during the firing process, creating these completely unique, unrepeatable glazes. It's absolutely a dying art, but it's fiercely protected in Jingdezhen because it yields these breathtaking results that modern technology just literally cannot replicate.
And this brilliantly illustrates what might just be the most mind-blowing part of the Bingding kiln, the human element behind it. This massive, perfectly functioning, wood-fired, egg-shaped kiln was built entirely from memory. Let that sink in. Not a single drawing, no blueprints, nothing. It was constructed by Master Yu Hezu, relying solely on decades of ingrained, unwritten genius. The stunning concrete arches you see towering around it, those were actually built around the kiln a full year later, just to protect his masterpiece. This immense respect for the craft brings us beautifully right into the modern era and to a really fascinating cultural phenomenon. I want to introduce you to the Jingdrifters, or Jingpiao in Chinese. These are artists and creatives who migrate from literally all over the world to move to Jingdezhen. And they aren't here for the rigid, strict rules of the ancient imperial kilns either. No, they come in pursuit of a slower-paced lifestyle and ultimate creative freedom, completely drawn in by the deep artistic energy and the incredible raw resources of the city.
So, where do all these modern artists hang out? You'll find them in revitalized hubs like Taoxichuan. Back in the 1960s, this whole area was full of state-run military and ceramic factories, which eventually just became abandoned brick warehouses falling into total disrepair. But jump forward to today, and wow, it's a vibrant cultural epicenter. The old factory bones were so carefully preserved to house modern cafés, glass-blowing studios, art galleries, and these twinkling, bustling weekend night markets. It's such a cool vibe.
And just a really short trip from there is Sandball Village, which is another incredible creative community. Nestled perfectly in a valley blanketed by trees, Sandball has hosted over 40,000 visiting international artists. It's super famous for its wabi-sabi cafés, stunning homestays, and a massive focus on slow living. It perfectly showcases the global magnetic pull of the city today. It's a place where ancient, traditional techniques seamlessly meet modern design and a really serene, thoughtful lifestyle.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, the story of Jingdezhen is really the story of Earth literally transformed into art. It's a 2,000-year legacy built on three essential things: the local kaolin clay, the mountain pine used for fuel, and above all else, relentless human obsession. This unique combination is exactly what allowed this anomalous industrial powerhouse to survive hidden away in the mountains, enduring dynastic rises and falls to remain an undisputed global capital today.
Which leaves us with this final thought. How exactly does an ancient craft, hidden deep in the lush mountains of Jiangxi, remain a living, breathing global symbol for an entire nation? Well, it's because the fires here never just baked clay. They forged a relentless culture of innovation. The spirit of those ancient artisans is alive and well today. So the next time you hold a piece of porcelain, whether it's a fancy vase, your morning coffee mug, or the plate you eat dinner from, ask yourself, what kind of incredible legacy went into crafting it? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer today. I'll catch you next time.